Hi, I'm JJ Conway, and I help hardworking women and a few good men build financial confidence and take ownership of their financial future. I'm cheering you on with education on financial literacy, smart investments, and passive income streams. Welcome to Ladies of Wealth.
So what we're going to do now, let me get my pen and paper. What we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears just a little bit. And for those who are listening on part of the podcast, we do record these live on Thursdays, and then we extract them for the podcast. We do other recordings for the podcast too, but the ones where I'm just talking is usually Thursday nights. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to win the game when they say you can't. Okay. And when it comes to succeeding, there's so many things that conspire against us. And sometimes it's not even our fault. A lot of times it's not even our fault. Okay. A lot of times it's just the conditions and circumstances we found ourselves in. Now, the older I get, the more I realize that many of the conditions and circumstances I find myself in are a result of what decisions and choices I have made throughout time, right? So there are some things like some of my health issues are because people kept hitting me. People kept rear-ending me, and it was never my fault. I've only had one accident in all my 50 years. I've only had one accident that was actually my fault, and that was like last year. And I still think it was the other girl's fault, but I didn't have a dash cam to prove it, so I got hit. I took the hit for it. But because of all those things, it causes trauma in your body, and it causes damage in your body, and there's healing that has to happen. And sometimes that the older you get, it seems like the slower that healing happens. Okay. So those things are things that happened to me. And the medicines that you take when you have stuff happen like that, the inability, like for 2 years after that one accident, I couldn't even really work out. Like I literally couldn't go exercise any more than just some light stretching, because any level of impact would slosh my brain too much, and I would start having neurological symptoms again for about 2 years. And so I was very pleased when I finally could go back to working out, and I was able to score excellent on my fitness test. It took a lot of work, and I was very happy about that. But some things you can control and some things you can't control. What we have to do is learn how to control the controllables, okay? And so one of the things we can control is whether or not we go after our dream. Now, you can't necessarily control whether everybody around you believes in you and believes in your dream, right? Like some of us are still living at home. We can't just tell our mom and our dad, like, hey, this is my way or the highway. They're going to be like, this is our house. You don't pay the bills here. Go find your way in your own house, right? Like some of us have to learn how to play nice with our parents. Some of us have to suffer along playing nice with our parents until the time that we move out. And no, my son doesn't live with me, so this is not a veiled jab or anything. But I know some people that are listening, they do still live at home, and so one of their goals is to get out of the house. But you can't control everything. But if your family isn't buying into your dream, or they're not buying into you, or you're like me and you had like 16 different businesses before number 17 actually stuck, and maybe they're a little bit wary of you coming home with yet another business opportunity, you can't control that. But you can control you. You can control you. And that's what we need to do, is control us. And I find that it's really, really hard to go after a dream when everyone else has been programmed around you that it's not possible. And what's worse is if you let other people, they will eventually program you and be like, it's not possible. And you'll begin to think, it's not possible. And you won't just stop believing in your dream. Like you won't dream it and be like, nope, I don't believe that. But the whole dream will just fade away. And it won't even come to your mind anymore. It won't even bubble up into your awareness. It won't even bubble up into your awareness. It's just like it just faded away. How many of you today have had a dream? How many of you have had a dream? And people are like, you crazy. Who you think you is? Get off your high horse. I want to encourage you to pursue that dream. Test the dream, put your dream to the test is the way John Maxwell writes it. He has a whole book called Put Your Dream to the Test. I like the way that the Bible says, test all the spirits to see which ones are true. I'm not one of those people that believes every dream that comes to you is the Lord. I believe that some dreams and some things come to us as a distraction from the enemy. And so you test the spirit to see what's one is, whether they're true, right? But once you've determined that this is of the Lord, pursue it. Keep it alive. It's for you, and you can do it. You absolutely can do it. And you absolutely can make it happen. You may not have the money. You may not have the resources. You may not have the land. You may not have the genetics. You may not have the partners. You may not have the networks. You may not have any of that stuff in place right now. But if God led you to it, he will lead you through it. And if he put that dream on your heart, if he put that dream on your heart, then he has already fully resourced everything that you need to succeed. Woo. All right. Today I'm going to lay out for you a strategy that will help you succeed no matter what situation you're starting from, okay? You got no support system? I got you. You got no money to start your business? You're going to get what you need today. No, I'm not giving out money, but I'm going to teach you what you need to do so you can get money to do the dream, all right? You got an issue with procrastination? Can't get ahead because you're trying to be perfect all the time? Or maybe you're doing a bunch of busy work, but you're not getting nothing done? Oh, we're gonna dry that up today. If the pre-teaching to this on the last part of our time together tonight, or if you're listening on the podcast, the last episode, if that didn't do it, it's gonna get taken care of today. If you allow this teaching tonight to go into your heart, go into your soul, go into the cells of your being, you are gonna break free. I believe it. I am confident that you will break free. All right. So just to be clear who I'm talking to, all right, this is great content for everyone. Okay. But my intention with this talk is to help people succeed who either find themselves in, this is Juneteenth. Okay. This is Juneteenth. But I'm specifically talking today, not every day, but today, I am specifically talking about to people who need help to succeed, who find themselves in a white-dominated career field, or who have a dream, but it feels like the support system you know and love just wants to tear you down, okay? This will also be great for you who work with any young people that might find themselves in that kind of a situation, okay? Are we good? Can I talk about this today? I don't know that I can talk about it too many other days considering that I live in rural Texas right now. But if I can talk about this today, I want you to just get yourself some paper. Get yourself some paper, and we're going to talk about how to win the game. All right? Okay. Now every time I say it, I'm going to be conscious of it because he brought it up. Now, before I get into how to win the game when they say you can, let me first tell you why I'm so passionate about this. And some of you heard a little bit of my story with my keynote, okay? But I'm going to take you back to my first year of school. When I started school, the teachers told my mom I was slow and I would never really amount to much. They wrote me off, and so did most of the world. But my mom said not so. And she insisted on a certain second grade teacher that we had heard was known to be really good with kids. And I didn't realize it at the time, but was known to help slow kids succeed. And Mrs. Gilmore in that first progress report wrote that I didn't understand what was going on. But unlike my previous two teachers, she made it her mission to work with me until by the end of the school year, she wrote that my reading and my comprehension were on par with my grade level. I learned from my mom, it doesn't matter what they say. I can win this game. The world will always try to put limitations on us. And if you know what I'm talking about, drop me some hearts or comment I know or something like that, okay? The world will always try to put limitations on us, regardless of color, gender, or anything else that you might delineate yourself by. The world always tries to put limitations on others, on difference, but their limitations doesn't have to define our future. Their limitations don't change who we are. And actually, when it comes to limitations, most of the time, people are actually well-meaning. Most of the time, they're just trying to protect us from disappointment, trying to protect us from failure, trying to protect us from other kinds of harms. It's out of their desire to keep us safe that they tell us to play small. And some people themselves are too disappointed in their own failures to really push you to be your best. I like how Les Brown says it. Other people's opinion of us does not have to become our reality. And we don't have to allow the reality or the perception of others to become our reality. I worked very, very hard in school. I was never the smartest kid in the room, okay? People sometimes think I'm a brainchild, but I was actually never really the smartest kid in the room. What I was the most hardworking. And this paid off when I received a full ride scholarship to the Air Force Academy. And then I get there and I at first was like, whatever, I'm getting a free degree. Let me get something, easy. But then that challenge nature in me kicked in and I couldn't make up my mind about declaring my major. I had straight A's in chemistry, but oh my goodness, chemistry was so boring to me. I could get the A's, but I could get the A's, but I didn't like it, okay? And, if I may, the people that did that work, they just didn't seem real fabulous to me, right? Physics wasn't really my strongest class, but it was super cool to levitate magnets and design rocket ships. So even though the chemistry department welcomed me with open arms, I wanted to interview the physics advisor before making up my mind. Only he insisted I wasn't qualified. Why not? I got A's and B's in all my scientific and mathematical classes, and all you needed was a B average. I didn't know. I didn't have enough experience. I wasn't old enough. Fill in the blank. I just didn't know back then how people do when they don't want you around. How they come up with reason after reason after reason after reason why you can't. And so I kept answering his reasons until he finally shouts out, "Blacks can't do physics. You can't do it. You're not going to make it. You're going to fail. Blacks can't do physics." Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to tell me what I'm not able to do. I declared physics. And again, not the smartest kid in the room. I acknowledge it. But for sure, the hardest working. And though a handful of my physics instructors supported me, I had to also deal with the fact that not only was I not the smartest kid, not only was I not only was I still hearing that voice of you're slow, you're never going to amount to anything, but now I found myself rejected by many peers and most of the professors. I wasn't invited to the study groups, and it seemed like many of my professors just somehow didn't have time for me when I sought extra help. One particular day, I was in this class and it had gotten so hard, I seriously thought about quitting. I'd go into the instructor's office for extra help and then come out more confused than when I went in. And after about 2 months on a day when all the other professors were gone, he leveled with me. "Look, my job is to get rid of you. If you will stop coming in here, I will stop feeding you the wrong answers." I stopped going into his office, and in 1997, as president of the Physics and Astronomy Club, I graduated from the Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in physics, a concentration in space. Not only was I the number 5 physics graduate of that class, which earned me the last slot for a full ride master's degree, but this lady who was told that blacks can't do physics, Oh, I went on to do physics for 23 years in the Air Force, and I was the first African American to have that job in the military. So don't let people tell you what you can and can't do. A lot of you today, you were the first person in your family to accomplish something. Maybe you were the first one to graduate from high school. Maybe you were the first one to buy a house, the first doctor, the first nurse, the first business owner, the first teacher. If you've been the first in something in your family, I want you to write me about it, okay? I want you to write me about it because I want to know and support you in that journey. Because I bet you had a lot of people try to tell you you can't do it. I bet you had a lot of people try to tell you don't waste your time. I bet you had a lot of people who acted like they were on your side, but they fed you the wrong answers. And I bet you've also found it to be true what Les Brown said, that the greatest revenge is massive success. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Remember what Audrey Hepburn said, nothing is impossible. The word impossible even says, I'm possible. It doesn't matter what they say. You can win this game. Oh, yeah. Okay, let me calm down. Okay, because that's not the end of the story. That's a great story. I'm very proud of my journey in the Air Force. I thank the Lord for every step of the way. But that's not the end, all right? So now I'm in the Air Force, free bachelor's in physics, free master's in nuclear engineering, second dumbest kid in the class, okay? But really pretty much the most likable. So all my bosses kind of liked me. Not all of them, but most of my bosses like me, right? We'll talk more about that later. I built my career on being able to translate scientific gobbledygook into terms that regular people understand. And most scientists can't do that, okay? But halfway through my military career, y'all, I came home from a trip to find my house sold, stuff thrown out, and divorce papers in my face. I was now a military single mom with over $800,000 of debt. And people told me, walk away from the debts or file bankruptcy. That's too much. There's no way you can overcome that. That's what people said. But I couldn't file bankruptcy. I would lose my clearance. And with it, the only job I knew how to do. I could not afford to do that. I needed to put food on my table. You know, I always wonder when people tell you to give up, like what exactly are they thinking you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, oh, just give up. Stop trying so hard. Like, well, then what are you supposed to do? Now, if any of y'all have ever been in bankruptcy, you already know what the same thing I know. Bankruptcy was not going to solve this problem. And if you haven't filed bankruptcy, then I'm sure you know somebody who has. It provides a temporary relief, but it really doesn't make things better because then once you have filed bankruptcy, it takes a whole lot more work to turn things around. And unless you've got family with resources or something like that where it's a special situation, it's a cycle that keeps happening over and over and over. Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve today's problems with the same level of thinking that created them. And when you want to make a massive change in your life, when you have what appears to be an insurmountable obstacle blocking your way, it takes a creative new way of thinking in order to find a way forward. You can't solve today's problems with yesterday's thinking. I had to learn how to hustle in a hurry. I had to learn how money worked, and I started teaching classes on dumping debt and how to invest in real estate without going into more debt. Y'all, I was fighting for my legacy and for my son. And now I empower others to win with money using those same money management, real estate investment, and business strategies that got me out of that negative net worth. Okay. Yeah. For those of you who haven't been with me long, I wanted to have when I crossed that zero line of being worth negative to being worth positive, I wanted to have a JJ's worth nothing party, but it was COVID, so we never did it. Okay, but I'm currently a full-time mom and also full-time speaker, trainer, and coach. And so I just want you to understand, it doesn't matter where you're starting from. You can win this game. It doesn't matter what they say. You can win this game. Say it with me. I know it's kind of silly, but say it with me. I can win this game. I can win this game. So let me go ahead and I think many of you know about the car accident I had. That's really my biggest challenge that I've had, but I feel like the time is going so late. I could talk to you about more and more challenges and stuff, but I do want to just kind of mention it briefly. Trying to think and make sure I can cut down the story. So, we forget all the times that the Lord opened doors or strengthened us when we're going through. Sometimes we see that the solution isn't coming fast enough, and we begin to yield to anxiety and depression. And that's exactly what I did after a car accident that left me with post-concussive syndrome. So originally said TBI, but I healed so much, they downgraded it to post-concussive syndrome and memory issues. And here I was the scientist, y'all, who had written reports for the president. And now I couldn't even make Monopoly change with my son. I thought my life was over. And at work, I became the butt of many jokes, as well as the office scapegoat. Some of you's been there, It's like everybody just waiting for you to fall. And then they swoop on in like vultures. I'm thinking about the buzzards that were flying in the Lion King that we just took my son, my husband and I took my son to go see. They're just circling around. They're circling around, just waiting for you to fall, just waiting for you to make a mistake, just waiting to be able to say, ha ha, just waiting to be able to use you as the scapegoat. Y'all, I was sinking. And I love the Lord. Yes, I loved the Lord. And yes, I had done great things in my past. But again, I couldn't even make Monopoly change with my son. I really thought I was going to be a vegetable, sitting in the corner, watching everybody else live while I just wasted away. And the first neurologist I worked with told me as much. That man told me that I had 5 to 10 years of a good brain left. And in May of 25, that was 8 years since that car accident. And I think he was wrong. It doesn't matter what they say. You can win this game. I found the right doctors, the right supplement, the right diet. And today I run an international financial education company. Not perfectly, but well enough. And you don't have to be perfect. You are enough. And I don't know what you're facing right now. I just know that life is a series of challenges. One after another, after another, after another. And we have to be intentional about remembering our past successes and reminding ourselves of our dreams, of our calling, of our gifting, of our greatness. You need to be reminded there is greatness within you. You need to sometimes be reminded that God has called you to do great things. You sometimes need to be reminded that God has called you to make a great impact in the life of someone else. There is greatness within you. All right? Ooh, okay. So you hear the medical issues that I was having, okay? And then you add the perceived unintelligence of people of color. There are times where our reputation precedes us. And one of the things I hated about having that car accident was maybe verifying some of those long-standing stereotypes because of my squirrely brain, I just didn't know what I was going to do to overcome it. And sometimes today, whether it's racial, gender, Even generational bias, y'all, you know, the bias that they have because they think you're too old or too young. At some point, your dream is going to lead you into an obstacle that you had no part in creating. It's going to lead you into an obstacle that you had no part in creating. You're still doing everything you know how to do, but the doors aren't opening. You're doing everything you know how to do. You're making all the phone calls. You're networking with all the people. You've taken a chance on you and showing up to this event and showing up to that event, but nothing's opened up. Other people who are less qualified and less effective are winning the contracts, getting the promotions. And you might be feeling like it's not your fault. It's not fair. Well, guess what? You're right. It's not. It's not. Sometimes even when you're doing everything you should do, it just does not work. They want who they want. Real talk now, okay? It's Juneteenth. You didn't bring me here to sugarcoat it and make you feel happy, all right? It wasn't my fault when my boss said they weren't going to submit me for a position I was perfect for, because that would have gotten me promoted. You know, this job would have allowed me to stay, live with my family instead of traveling all the time. That she said, I'm simply not going to recommend you for this because you are Black. And before you get all mad at him, I'm actually not mad at him for telling me that. I mean, I'm not happy to hear that, but I actually had high respect for him telling that, because he needed me to know that he wasn't going to burn one of his few favors to do this for me. And if he hadn't told me, look, the general just fired one overweight Black female, he's not going to replace her with another one, I would have still butt my head against that fence and still try to find a way to break down that gate and get myself in. It wasn't fair. Wasn't my fault. It's not fair, and it's not your fault. It's not fair that they'll fire a white guy and think nothing else about putting another white guy in his face, but they do think about a Black woman in these white male dominated career fields. So sometimes it really isn't your fault. And you're not responsible for what's not your fault. But you are responsible to your dream. You're not responsible for the fact that people be how people be, but you are responsible to your dream. You are responsible to your life. Too many of us have allowed life, circumstances, and well-meaning but dream-killing people to back us into a corner and keep us playing small. You're never going to win the game playing small. And so I'm going to tell you how to win, all right? I'm going to tell you how to win the game. And win the game, like many speakers, y'all, that is an acronym. So if you have a piece of paper with me today, I want you to draw a line down the center and draw a line down the middle. So you've got yourself a cross, okay? And so win the game, like many speakers have, that is an acronym, okay? It stands for goals, advocate, mentor, and excellence. Now, truth in advertising, I think we should start with the foundation of excellence, okay? I think then from there we establish our goals. All right. Then we seek mentoring. And while we do that, we develop a relationship with an advocate. Okay. But EGMA doesn't sound as cool as game. So I hope that you'll give me a little grace today to talk about the letters GAME out of order. All right. Now, if you're super creative and you can help me get them in a good order with a super cool title, I'll even give you I'll give you credit on the book that we're putting it in. All right. So be sure to connect with me on social media. JJ knows the way. Excuse me. We're going to do something that's a little interactive. I hope you have your paper divided into a quadrant. And I went ahead and wrote mine in so I don't lose track of what I'm saying, because it is late and it's been a long day for the conference. Okay. Excellence. Okay. Excellence is the first one I'm going to talk about. When I taught at Air University, an original Tuskegee Airman, Lieutenant Colonel Herb Carter, he was a regular speaker at the college, and I was the chief of the Commander's Action Group, which subordinated protocol. So I was the chief of the Commander's Action Group. We did all his special projects, all his speech writing and things like that. And then one of my people was in charge of protocol. And so we saw all of these special visitors quite often. He was a regular speaker at the college, and he saw I was struggling early in my assignment there. He pulled me aside and he taught me that excellence is the antidote to racism. People make their snap judgments and you can't talk them out of their opinion, okay? You can't meme them enough, yell at them enough, keyboard Facebook warrior them enough, shame them enough to change their mind. You have to show them that they're wrong. And excellent isn't just what we do, it's who we are. So to win the game, we have to be excellent. We have to walk in the energy of excellence. And that energy, it'll resonate with their energy, and it begins to change their mind. I built my career upon excellence, and I changed a lot of minds about what Black people are capable of. So who we are is the foundation. That's why it doesn't matter what environment you grew up in, what money you have or don't have, what opportunities you had or didn't have growing up. Excellence attracts excellence. And when excellent people see excellence in us, they are compelled. They can't help it. They are almost obsessively forced and compulsed to want to help us succeed. When we walk in excellence, we can achieve anything we set our minds to. And so for this workshop, I want you to take a look at your paper. I want you to put excellence up in your, I guess for me, this is my top left quadrant. I don't know how it looks on the screen to you, okay? I want you to put excellence down, draw your 2 lines and put excellence in the top, okay? Now, when we walk in excellence, we can achieve anything we set our mind to do, okay? That's going to lead me to our next requirement to win the game, which are goals, okay? Before we move on to goals, I want you to just take a second, and I got to figure out how I'm going to do this, because one thing we don't want is dead air, okay? And I also don't want to talk while you're writing. But in the excellence quadrant, I want you to write down the words start, stop, and keep. Now, if something comes to your mind that you should start doing, if something comes to your mind that you should stop doing, if something comes to your mind that you should keep doing, go ahead and write that in even as I'm talking. But if it doesn't come to your mind throughout this talk, then nug on it later, because just the act of writing it tells your subconscious mind, hey, this is something I want information on, and it will help you. Your subconscious mind will help you get more information to your conscious brain about things you should start, stop, or keep doing, okay? And so I'll give you an example of something that I should start doing. I'm going to be transparent with you. When I was talking about how, in the last discussion about how people don't always follow up like they should, I am people. I am absolutely people. I greatly resemble that remark. So something that I should really start doing is increased follow-up. So that's what I'm going to write. I really need to increase my follow-up, okay? Something that I should stop doing. You know what's something that I should stop doing? I should stop beating myself up about being imperfect. And you know what's so crazy about that? I teach this stuff. I teach that we don't have to be perfect. That we don't have to be perfect. We just have to be willing. Like, that's my quote. That's my quote. That's J.J. Conway. But you know what? I find myself doing it over and over and over. So I'm going to put stop beating myself up. Up, over, imperfections. You write down whatever is on your heart, and I'm sure by now something's come to you, okay? All right, and then I'm going to do keep. What is something I should keep doing? So basically, this is something I'm doing that works well, and I should keep doing it. Don't stop it. Don't change it. Keep going. And I'm going to put under keep is creating pathways for other people's success. All right. All right. Zig Ziglar said you can have anything you want out of life as long as you help enough other people get what they want out of life, right? And I have seen that to be true. There are those who distrust your motives when you are a giver and you are a helper, but there's no reason that being a giver and a helper means you got to do it for free. Okay? So that's what we're going to do with excellence. What can I do to be more excellent? What can I start doing to be more excellent? What can I stop doing to be more excellent? And what should I keep doing to walk in excellence? Okay. Yay. So our next one is goals. I'm just going to write goals in the upper right quadrant next to the game. And this is what we've set our mind to. What are our goals? So if you have a speaking business, or maybe you're in STEM, maybe you want to begin with the end in mind. I don't know if y'all heard Dr. Jonas Gadsden today for our Juneteenth Legacy conference, but he says the only place you find success before work is in the dictionary. You have to have hard work. Does that mean that everything that you work at is going to be a profitable activity? Well, it may not be, but you're going to have hard work, and the hard work has to be in the right direction. Ooh, yeah, I promise I'm not gonna get all into physics with y'all today, but I want to explain this as well as I can, because here's when you have a movement, when you have energy expended in a movement, it's not just how much energy, it's also the direction. And we call that a vector arrow. Okay. So this is my direction, is where it's pointed. And then the effort is how big the arrow is. And some of us, we kind of, we go through life and we just do little efforts over here and over there and whatever, but we're pretty much just, chill, going along a little thing. We're just going along and doing our thing, and we're not thinking too much about it, but it's okay. It'll work out. Or maybe we are thinking about it, but we're not doing a lot about it. And as opposed to others who are like, oh, I'm gonna spend one weekend a month and I'm gonna really work on my business. Or this is the one that I love. I'm gonna ignore my kids all year long, but I'm going to take them to Disney World. They're going to have quality time, so it's going to be okay. If you can't tell the sarcasm in my voice, let me just let you know that I am being very sarcastic right now. All right. And so what happens with this person, they go big or go home. Well, you know what they end up doing? They go big all over the place. They go big all over the place. And at the end of the day, they've gotten nowhere. They started in one spot and they've ended up right back at the same spot or very close to it, when where they really wanted to do, y'all can't read that, what they really wanted to do is achieve this desire. And see, they think as they're doing these big old gargantuan efforts, they're going to get there faster. But guess who's going to actually get there faster? I mean, sure, they're going to get derailed from time to time. From time to time, they're going to take a speaking engagement they shouldn't take. They're going to buy into a business opportunity they shouldn't buy into. And then eventually, though, their consistency compounds and they make it with their little bits that they can do every day. They make it to the desire. And the person doing all the go big and go home still hasn't gotten any forward movement. All right. So we want to make sure that our goals are helping us get somewhere, because sometimes we're not really clear. We're doing everything for everybody else, but we're not even on our own priority list. Don't put it in the chat. Please don't put this one in the chat. But how many of us out there, we do everything for everybody else, and they need this and they need this and they need this and they need that. We aren't even on our own list. There's not anywhere on our list. Do some self-care, do some decompression, do some journaling, do some thought journaling about the business, do some thought journaling about the family, spend time with the family, intentional time with the family. Have you ever thought about what you really want and where you want to be? Now, I'm not talking about wishing for it. I'm not talking about hoping for it. I mean, seriously, sat down and thought through it. I mean, visualized your goals so thoroughly that you can tell me how the suit you're wearing feels against your skin, how the sun warms your face when you're on that Caribbean cruise. How does it feel to have a long line of people waiting for your autograph? I mean, really dream about it. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I did speak all day, and it's the consecration fast, so I didn't really take anything for my throat that whole day, okay? But really dream about it. We did this all the time as a child. And somewhere along the way to adulthood, we stopped dreaming. And if we actually do succeed, you know, we go around saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And we say, I'm sorry anytime we win so other people won't feel bad about themselves for our success. We get in touch with what do you want? What do you want? What do you really, really, really want? What do you want? Okay. All right. So you're gonna put in this goals. What do I want? Hi, Trinette. How you doing? You're gonna do what do I want? And you're gonna take that before the Lord in prayer. So I'm just gonna draw an arrow and say prayer. What does the Lord want? A lot of times when the Lord has these high level goals for us, because we're not even expanding our thinking to even consider that he might possibly want to do something like that through us. A lot of times it takes him time to be able to reveal that to us because we're not even prepped for it. We're not, our battle space is not ready to receive such a big dream. And so then we just push them away before they can even get roots and take hold anywhere, take hold in our heart. Okay. So you want to ask what you want and then take that into prayer and then ask what does the Lord want? And then he may not always tell you the specifics right in the moment, but I have found that the Lord has told me a lot of what he wants me to do and to be and to have. So excellence, goals. Now let's look for mentor. I'm going to rewrite that because that doesn't even look good. Mentor. Or as they say it in some African countries, Jegna. Okay. That time we want to look at, this is a mentor. Now I want to explain the difference between mentoring and some other things. Like a lot of times I get people who come to me for business consulting and they want to be a coach. Great. You want to be a coach. Okay. Let's talk about your coaching skills. Oh, well, I'm just going to tell people how to do this and how to live and what to do. And they keep going on and on and on. And their real thought is, I have all this goodness. I'm going to tell you what to do. And I'm going to share all this goodness with you. And you're going to do what I did. And we're all going to be successful. And we're all going to be together. And it's all going to be great. But that's not what coaching is. Coaching is drawing out from within you, allowing that person to help draw out from within you what it is you want to do next. A mentor is someone who's already done what you want to do, and they can show you how to shorten your learning curve. They can also place you in certain positions to shorten your learning curve. And so, I'm not going to spend a huge lot of time on this. I mean, some of you have seeing real world mentoring in action. And those of you who are in the conference today, especially the folks in the room, you got a taste of real world mentoring with one of our guest speakers. And it was phenomenal. I mean, I think every life in the room was touched by this gentleman. All right. And so I'm going to say two things about mentoring. One, you want to make sure your mentor has actually done what you want to do, because most haven't. They think they're going to mentor and they think they're going to coach you, but they haven't done it. Now, a coach can really do a good coaching job and not have actually done the thing you want to do. Okay. But a mentor is supposed to shorten your learning curve. See, coaching, you're wrestling with the question, and the growth is in the wrestling. Well, the mentoring, I'm done wrestling with the question. I know where I need to go and what I need to do. I need somebody to open up the door. I need somebody to shorten my learning curve. I need somebody to tell me, watch out for this pitfall because this got me here and that pitfall got me there. And I want something like that, so that someone can show me those things, so that I can actually shorten my experience and get to where I need to go faster and be, well, how does that phrase go? Be bigger, better, faster, right? And so that's what a mentor does. You got to make sure they actually have done what you want to do, or they have, for some other reason, enough extenuating circumstance that you can actually believe that they can help you open those doors and shorten your learning curve. Well, most haven't. I'm just going to be upfront with you. Most haven't, okay? Number 2 on this point of mentoring and finding a good mentor, please, sir, please, ma'am, do not be afraid to pay for quality mentoring. Because some relationships, they just don't begin until the mentor sees that you're serious, okay? And I've invited you all to participate in my group coaching. And we're going to talk at the next one of these. We're going to talk about this topic, what to look for in a mentor and what to avoid, okay? Because too many of us get derailed by people who just take our money and they don't help us achieve what we want to achieve. And I don't know about you, but I'm not spending all my time doing this. I'm not spending all my time going to meetings. I'm not spending all my time on Zoom. I'm not spending all my time putting on conferences. I'm not spending all my time all on these other things just to sit around and be in the same place that I was last time, but feel better about it. And actually, I'm the type that wouldn't feel better about it. If I don't have any results, if I don't have any action, if I don't have anything to go back and tweak, well, then I'm not happy. Okay, so that's our mentor. So I want you to ask this question in your mentor quadrant. Who knows the way? Why? JJ knows the way. Okay, I couldn't resist it. Who knows the way? For those of you who are new to me and my body of work, my call sign on all the different social medias is JJ knows the way. Who knows the way that I'm trying to go? Who is willing to show me the way? And then what will it take? Now, for those of you who have taken this class a couple times, you might be like, gee, some of these things that she writes are the same and some of those change. What I do what the Lord gives me in the moment for the audience that I'm speaking to, okay? So the questions again are, who knows the way? Like, who can legit help me? Who knows the way? Is that person willing to help me? And it would be nice if they're both the same person, right? Like there's all, y'all. I get all the time people trying to help me, and it cracks me up. Like I'll get the guys that are like, oh, I want to show you how you can achieve financial independence, But I always crack up. Like one time I was on the Metro, and this guy in one of them cheap polyester suits, like you got on the clearance rack at Ross, he's like, I can show you how to be financially independent. And I'm thinking to myself, he really could if he knows money, he knows. But maybe he should wait a couple years before he can buy a better suit. And then maybe I'll be more likely to listen to him about, maybe he can wait a couple years and fix up his teeth a little bit. Maybe he knows, because I remember when I was in debt, I knew, but I wasn't going around trying to interrupt people on the Metro, trying to sell them into my program. There are a lot of people out there who are willing to show you the way, but they may not actually know the way. And then you've got to figure out what it'll take. Don't be afraid of paying for quality mentoring. Some people you don't even get through the door with until you have paid a significant amount into their program, because they have such limited time and such a large, expansive following that they have to put gates in place to make sure that the people that access their time are genuinely ready and willing to do the work. And so it's not always a 100% proof, it's not a 100% kind of thing, but more likely than not, someone who's going to go through those pay wickets and show up to the mastermind and show up to the meetings and show up to anything they need to, where where that mentor is willing to show you, where he or she is willing to show you, I'm the queen of buying into a program, and then I'm so busy I don't show up for it. Don't do that, right? But don't be afraid to pay for a good mentor. And that leads into the what will it take? Okay, these are the people that know the way. Here's the people in that circle. I should draw it like little circles. Hold on. I'm gonna do it like this, okay? I'm gonna draw it. Oh, it's like the 3-part model of man, y'all. Y'all know I love that model. Okay. The big list is who knows the way I'm trying to go. You're going to, from that list, you're going to cull down to who is willing to show me. And then you're going to go, what will it take? Because there's some people out there, you can build a good relationship with them. And by starting off in their mastermind program, it's going to drop you $20, $30, $40, $50,000 off the bat. Do you need to do that to find the mentor that you want? There may be other mentors available for far less charge, but they may not be as far ahead as the other person, but they might be just the next best step for you. Okay, so don't be afraid to pay if that is what it takes. Don't be afraid to volunteer. Don't be afraid to do those kinds of things. Okay. All right. The last key to help you win the game is advocate. So the last quadrant on our EGMA game, GAME, is advocate. Okay. This is a key piece that many corporations, and especially the military, require, that many of us don't know about. See, a mentor shortens the learning curve. The advocate is someone who opens doors for you and brings you along. So in our, do I have one here? Let's see if I have one here. Sure. So when Pam Perry, such an amazing PR guru, said she was going to, talk about whether George Fraser or Les Brown would write the foreword for this or that and the other, and you're going to come, oh man, how was she saying it? Basically, I forget the context, so I'm just going to say the bottom line. The bottom line is, speakers, as a speaker, you're supposed to tell a story, right? Never make a point without telling a story, and never tell a story without making a point. Well, I don't remember the story, but I remember the point. And the point was, when these high-level people have when you come in contact with the greatness and they want to pour into you, find a way for them to do so. Find a way. Okay. And while you do see advocacy happen through paid mentorship, like private access kind of programs, and I do that for people who speak at my conferences, most advocates actually do this because there's something about you that reminds them about themselves or resonates with them. You remind them of themselves, you remind them of their kids, you remind them of their own hopes and dreams, you remind them of a special time in their life. And so as you pursue your dreams and goals, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for an advocate, okay? And so, you as you work through the process, you're going to choose moment by moment what you're manifesting. Is it by design or default? Is it by design? Is it just letting things happen? The patterning of the past, of default, there's going to be times where you unconsciously move to where your old default patterning is running, and it's affecting your thinking, and it's causing you to do the things you shouldn't be doing and not do the things you should be doing, right? But when you notice that, you've got to move from that default to intentionality and thinking from vision. Okay. And so when you're operating according to vision, that's when you are now positioning yourself to be aided by an advocate. Okay. So an advocate, again, this is somebody who opens doors, who can open doors for me. Okay. Who can open doors for me? And then the last question I'm going to ask you is, or ask you to ask yourself is, how can I get on their agenda before I ask them to get on mine? Okay, so as an looking for advocates, who could open the doors for me? Preferably someone who you think is going to resonate with you and have your energy. But it is not always somebody who looks like you or has your gender or your race or your history. Sometimes it's not. Some of the people that have helped me out the most in my military career and even in my business are people that I have very little in common with, other than the fact that we are both excellent people trying to equip God's people and change the world. Okay, and make money doing it. Okay, and then how do I get on their agenda before I ask them to get on mine? So if you have somebody who really likes serving the homeless, they like serving at soup kitchens and things like that, maybe you start learning to volunteer and volunteer for that. Or if they have their own nonprofit, maybe you start contributing to that or learning more about it so that you could plug into a place that's genuine. See, we don't want to do things out of manipulation. A lot of people do things out of manipulation, but I'm talking about genuine, because when you come to somebody, you want to have genuine energy. It's more of that excellent energy. Okay. How do I get on their agenda? Okay, maybe they're opening up a new wing of their office. Maybe they're opening up a new division in the new leadership division, and you've got leadership training. You're licensed John Maxwell leadership coach, right? Like, you've got things that can help them, and maybe you put your proper things that can help them in the right time and place to help them. You're getting on their agenda before you're asking them to get on yours. Okay, and so with that, there's so much more. Like, we have normally, I did not build one for this year, so I'm not selling you into any of that today, but we have a whole morning or afternoon workshop on just these alone. And so if you come to the group, if you come to the group, we are going to slowly be working our way through these each month until you have a strategy and an action plan. I gave you a couple of questions for each of these. All of these have like 10 or so questions that when you start writing it out, then you go back to the beginning and you start writing it again, because you worked your way through the process. Now new things are going to pop up at you when you see the beginning again, and you loop back around, and then the next thing you know, now you've got the people you need to go and work relationships with, or build relationships with, or test relationships with, or maximize relationships with. Now you find things that you in your life can do to come up just a little bit better. Now you find things in your life that you can do to stop doing because it portrays you as being less than excellent. Y'all, putting these things in place will help you win the game. And if you'd like somebody who's been successful when they said she shouldn't be, whether they said it because of my brain makeup as a kid, whether they said it because of my gender and my race in the military, whether they said it because of my brain after that car accident, whatever it was, I did not let those things stop me. And you don't have to let anything stop you either. You don't have to let anything stop you. You know, this looks like I'm mad. I should not do that. I don't know how else to say it. You don't have to let anything else stop you. Okay? One of the ladies that came to one of my trainings, we did some one-on-one prepping her for her next phase of her business. She's like, you have to have more body language. You have to pat people and get them and welcome them in. But the thing is it's hard to do on the screen. It's easier in person, because when I'm patting, that doesn't look very nice. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. If you have questions, I'm gonna go through and take a look at the questions. But if not, my little one is definitely looking for some money some money. He is looking for money too. I told him he would make money by helping me out with my conference. But I don't see any questions. I appreciate all the comments. Y'all are fantastic. But I don't see any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and snuggle my little guy and get him to bed. Y'all, if you're listening as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I want to thank y'all for being here with us. I encourage you to join us on Thursday nights live. Right now, our classes are at 8:30 Central, at 9:30 Eastern, and we just have fun and we learn a lot that will help us take our lives to the next level. You can connect with me on social media at JJ Knows the Way. And the only reason I can say I know the way is because I know the one who is the way. So if you want to know more about him, come on and talk to me today. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and ask your question at ladiesofwealth.com.